everyone, welcome to my channel. We're going to be talking about a question that I get pretty frequently as a bookkeeper, and that is, hey Taylor, I love QuickBooks for my business. Can I use it for my personal finances as well? We're going to go ahead and dive in to talk about why you shouldn't use QuickBooks and just kind of talk about the factors. Let me go ahead and first talk about maybe why some of the people want to use QuickBooks for their personal finances. The first is because they think that they know QuickBooks very well because they already have a business and they like the format. That's a really great reason, right? You already know how QuickBooks works. It kind of shows you the profitability of your business. And if you kind of take that model and you show it with your profitability of your personal assets, that can also be very helpful, right? You say, okay, I had a $2,000 profit last month, meaning that I had $2,000 left over in my bank account or unused money when I got paid between expenses and income, right? So I had $2,000 after all my expenses and my income. So in that regard, it can be pretty helpful, right? But there's other budgeting tools that can do the same thing, maybe not in the same terminology that you're used to, such as Mint, as well as I Need a Budget and Dave Ramsey's app. Although for blind bookkeepers and blind people like myself, the I Need a Budget app by Dave Ramsey and the Every Dollar app is not accessible. Try that again. For blind people or people with disabilities, I found that the Budget app by Dave Ramsey is not accessible to Every Dollar, as well as the You Need a Budget. But the Mint app by Intuit is fully accessible. So if you want to check out an accessible solution, go ahead and check out Mint. But assuming you're kind of like, yeah, I understand. It's just not the greatest for personal. You know, people want to do it. Go ahead and do it. Now let's talk about some factors you should consider, because now that you decided that you're on this train for QuickBooks, what do you need to know? Number one, if you think that you can connect your QuickBooks personal budget to your business, think again. Not happening, y'all. If you thought that, then I think you should reconsider, because here's the thing. If you do that, you're going to have your let's reconsider that, because if you have your business and personal in the same file, that could create a giant mess for tax time. No bueno. Number two, I'm just going to have everything in one QuickBooks file and I'm just going to categorize it really well. Good luck. No, not happening. And number three, well, I'm going to have to pay another QuickBooks subscription. Yep, that's indeed the right answer. Ding, ding, ding. You're going to have to pay another QuickBooks subscription. So here's the thing. Every QuickBooks company is a new subscription, right? Your business is a new subscription, you know, depending on what plan you have, and so will your personal budget if you decide to go this way. And the cheapest plan for QuickBooks right now is $30 a month, retail. There's a lot of different discounts that you can get, but the cheapest retail value is $30 a month. So if you want a great budgeting tool that will cost you $30 a month, you got one, QuickBooks. Now, let's talk about some of the reasons why it could also be a good idea. Let's kind of discuss, right? Because maybe for some people, it's just a great thing, right? It could just help them a lot. So if you have a business and you've invested substantial amounts of money, let's say that you've invested hundreds of thousands or thousands even, like if you're a real estate flipper, maybe you've invested hundreds of thousands, and you don't have any other way to track it, well then fine. Go ahead and create a personal QuickBooks file and separate everything. That way you can connect all your bank accounts, and then with your business transactions, you could be able to add a whole new transaction for your owner's investment after you figured out how much you actually invested for that year. Great, valid use case. Or if you just really want to get a hold of your finances and you just have a lot of money to kill, great, go ahead and set up QuickBooks. So those are kind of some of the people that I think that this budgeting technique could work for. So we're gonna go ahead and get this party started. I'm gonna create a new QuickBooks account and show you guys a basic budget. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, I did all the trial stuff before the video, because here's the thing, they ask you a bazillion questions and it's annoying to answer on camera. Also, I had to enter in all my payment information. That'd be a great way for me to get hacked. So obviously I don't want to show that on camera, so I just went ahead and did this beforehand. But I didn't do anything that would impact the video. But having said that, I didn't do anything that impacted the video. All I did was I just made sure that it was going to be good, right? I just made sure that everything was going to be set up. So right now, when I open up my QuickBooks, I have a blank file with nothing in it. And if you want to actually get started, I have a link in the description where you can go ahead and sign up for a free trial of QuickBooks. So go ahead and sign up and you can kind of just run through the setup. It doesn't really matter what you pick because you're just doing this for your personal stuff. So just pick anything and just run with it. All right. We're going to go ahead and get this thing started. So what I did for this video is I created a simple spreadsheet with a few different transactions from a few different categories. And what we're going to be doing is first setting up our chart of accounts, which is kind of all of our categories, right? It's kind of the accounts that QuickBooks uses to categorize transactions. We first need to get rid of a bunch of erroneous accounts. We've got a million of these in here for your business, right? We need to first get rid of all these. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and add new categories so it can look more like a budget. And finally, after all of that, we're going to go ahead and import a spreadsheet of some fake transactions. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get the party started with some screen sharing. All right, it's wanting me to show me around so I can get down to business. I'm just going to press escape on this. I don't want to have anything showing me around because I just want to lead the way. So what I'm going to first do is let's go ahead and go to our chart of accounts. So if you're unfamiliar with QuickBooks, chart of accounts is kind of the accounts that QuickBooks uses to categorize transactions. It's the accounts that you have available. And typically, if you run a business, these accounts will kind of file. Try that again. If you run a business, typically these accounts will be in a good form for tax time. So that way, if you run like a sole proprietor, you've got Schedule Cs and all that stuff for your company, it will kind of be already in that format. So it'll have all the categories for your Schedule C or other tax forms. So it kind of has everything broken down. Now, because we're doing a personal budget, nothing applies. That means we're going to be playing the demolishing game. That's right, we're going to be demolishing QuickBooks. Here we go. All right, so chart of accounts, we're going to go to the gear icon, which is in the top left, settings or gear, chart of accounts. Here we go. Let's see what we already have, because sometimes we never know. Depending on what industries and things you set up in the QuickBooks setup that you did before this video, or while your video, depending on which features you set up in the industries tab in the setup before the video, or even while you're watching this video, you're going to have different results, so it all depends on what you selected. When I went ahead and said, it asked the industry, and I just went ahead and just said no. No industry, right? So no industry, try that again. So what I went ahead and did is, because QuickBooks has a whole different set of accounts for each industry, when it asked me to select my chart of accounts for my industry, I just hit skip. And so right now, that's kind of how I have the account set up I do. But if you did something else, then you'll have all different accounts than I did. So we'll just try to follow along and do this as best we can. Sound good? All right, let's see what we got. All right, it's just telling me what the chart of accounts is. I know what the chart of accounts is. I'm a bookkeeper into it. Looks like we've got 28 different accounts. Let's see what we have. Uncategorized asset. I'm going to get rid of that one. Actually, I wonder if I can. I'm just going to make it active, so I can't actually delete this one, but I can at least make it inactive. I don't need it. Oh, that's right. In QuickBooks, there are accounts that you cannot delete because it's part of the online banking feature, as the error message just plainly stated in my face. So keep that in mind. If you try to delete something that doesn't work, that's why. Undeposited funds, we can't delete that either. Owner's investment. We don't really need this, as of course everything is an owner's investment, right? Because obviously this is your personal books. I hope everything's an owner's investment, or else where are you getting the money from? So we're going to go ahead and delete this if we can. See if I don't know if we can. All right, I got rid of that one. So owner's investments. Bye-bye. Owner's paying personal expenses. Well, we're going to go ahead and get rid of this one as well, because everything in this set of books is going to be personal expenses. So why do we need every separate category? Make it active. Yes. All right, let's see what else we have. Retained earnings, we don't need this one either, but I'm not sure we can get rid of this one. Nope. And if you're never sure which ones you can get rid of, or you're not really quite that sure, just delete them and it will tell you if you can't, like I just had, right? It'll just tell you, hey, can't do it. Try again. Billable expenses, don't need that either. Okay, get rid of that one. Services, I don't need that as well. Of course, we're going to have all different kinds of categories for our income, but I don't actually know we can get rid of this one, but let's see if we can. Nope, can't get rid of that one. Okay, and categorized income, we have to keep it. Advertising and marketing. So here's all the expenses. Now, we're not going to have advertising and marketing for our personal life, are we? Not really. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this one. Okay, advertising, marketing, gone. Ask my accountant. Well, I would actually keep that if I were you, and the reason is because maybe you have an accountant for your personal life or your business and personal, and maybe there's some transactions in your personal that you're not quite sure for your personal income tax return. So for that reason, I'd actually keep this account. I would also maybe keep this bank charges and fees, although actually, yeah, I would actually keep this one, because you never know if the bank's going to charge you a fee. It'd always be good to keep track of how much your bank is ripping you off, if they are at all. So that could be a good one to have. Car and truck, that one we don't really need because we'll just put all that under travel. But maybe if you want to try to keep track of how much you are spending on your car every year, you could keep track of that. So in this case, I'm going to delete it, but I could see a reason why you might not want to. Contractors, you're not going to have any contractors. Get rid of this one. Okay. Keep going. Insurance. Yeah, this one, you might have some insurance, right? If you got to keep track of your homeowners and car and things like that. So I would actually want to go ahead and keep this one because you would separate your insurance types. Interest paid. No, don't need this one. Job supplies. Again, not needed. Meals and entertainment. This is actually a good one to keep because if you got entertainment for your personal budget and you also want to keep track of your food expenses, although actually for this one, what I'd recommend is just separating the two. So I would just not keep them all together. That way you can see individually how much you're spending on meals and entertainment. So what I'll do is I'll just get rid of this one and create two separate ones. Actually, I could just edit the name. So I could just call this one entertainment. Or actually, I'll just call it meals, right? And then I can create an entertainment one later. That way, when I'm done, it will have everything in the right order, right? Because for your personal expenses, you're going to have both meals and entertainment, but it'd just be easier to have all of it in all of it in two different accounts. So you could see, okay, I'm spending this much on food, I'm spending this much on entertainment. Okay, legal and professional. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one, unless you have a reason to keep it. Although maybe you want to keep it for like your tax preparer and other accountants and things. But maybe I'd recommend changing the name. But let's go ahead and just get rid of it for now, because we're not going to have a complicated budget here. Office supplies and software. This actually might be a good one to have. The reason being is that with everyone working from home these days, you can kind of keep track of how much you're spending on your home office, especially if your employer reimburses you. This actually might be a good one to have. So I recommend keeping this one. And also you can keep track of your software purchases. So good one to keep. Other business expenses. I would actually keep this one, but what we'll do in the next little bit here is we'll actually rename it to other expenses. We're not running a business here, so we'll just rename it simple. Reimbursable. That would actually be something we want to keep because the reason is that we want to get the reimbursable expenses. Like, let's say your friend paid you for let me try again. Let's say that you had to pay for a lunch with your friend, right? And let's say that they were going to reimburse you. This one might be a good one to have. Rent and lease. Yeah, I would actually keep this one. I'd maybe rename it to like rent or rent/your home. So yeah, I would keep this one. Repairs and maintenance? Yeah, I would also maybe keep this one, depends. Again, for this little tutorial, I'm not going to have anything in this category, so I'm actually just going to get rid of it. But I could see where it could be useful. Taxes and licenses? That would be a good one to have. What I would recommend, though, is I'm just going to go ahead and rename it to, like, taxes or tax expenses or something of that nature. And that's where you could maybe put your accountant as well, your fees. And that way you know how much you have to spend every year on tax-related items. Travel? Definitely. Keep this one. Great one to have. You know, if you've got airfare and other things, put all your travel, your Lyft, Ubers, anything in here. Uncategorized expense, we have to keep it, but we're not going to use it. Utilities, great one to have because you can put your electric, internet, all the utilities. Great one to have. All right, so now that we've went ahead and did a little bit of demolishing with QuickBooks, let's go ahead and do some adding. Let's make sure that this is more personalized, right? Because we're doing a personalized budget, we need to make sure it's more personal. So let's go ahead and evaluate. I mean, we have a lot of our categories. I just want to change some names and maybe add a couple things. So let's look at what we've got here. All right, so services, of course, we can't get rid of that. So I think let's start with the expenses side. So the Ask My Accountant, again, we'll go ahead and keep that, and then we'll bank charges. I would actually just keep this. Maybe I just rename it to like bank expenses or something, just to make it easier, right? Because you're not really getting a huge amount of fees unless your bank account has, you know, low balance or whatever for your personal account. But I just recommend I'm going to rename it for clarity for a personal budget. I'm just going to go to edit and make it a little bit more clear here. I'm just going to call it bank fees. Simple. We don't need bank charges and fees, just bank fees. So save and close. Okay, so I just went ahead and made my bank charges and fees. Just rename that to bank fees. And again, this is all up to personal interpretation. So what I think might be helpful could also be seen differently to what you think is helpful. So it's all about your personal tastes and personal opinions. But all I'm doing here is just providing a little bit of a sample. Okay, insurance. I'm going to keep this, and then maybe what you'll want to do is create sub-accounts or other insurance accounts about what kind of insurance you have. So if you've got car, life, homeowners, renters, that might be helpful to have. But for now, I'm just going to leave this as insurance because we don't have any insurance transactions in this budget, but I just want to keep it. Meals, I'm going to go ahead and keep that one. Office supplies and software. Yeah, I would want to actually separate this. Now that I actually think about that, I'm going to have the home office, so I'm actually going to rename this to home office. And then I'm going to create a new account that says software. And that way I can keep track. Okay, so this is for my home office. This is all my, desks and other things that I use to upgrade my home office. The hardware, like the hard stuff, non-software. And then the software is going to be all my subscriptions. So let's go ahead and keep this and rename it a little bit. So I'm going to edit here and I'm going to say home office. I'm just going to call it home office supplies. Actually, yeah, just home office. Simple. Okay. Simple, simple, simple. All right, let's see what else we have. Other business expenses. Okay, so yeah, other business expenses. That's the next one. We're going to go ahead and change this to other expenses, not business. Edit. Here we go. All right, so we went ahead and did that. And the other thing I might want to do is just change the rent and lease. I might just want to call it home, right? Or house expenses or living expenses, something else. I guess that is a good name, but yeah, let's just go ahead and leave that though. But that's something you could want to change if you want to make it less business-y. That's a word, but you know. All right, let's see. So I've created all my accounts. Now what I wanted to do, let me try that again. I've edited all my accounts. Now our final step to make sure that this looks pristine is to create a couple different accounts. So I want to create for sure an entertainment account. This would be things like bowling, movies, entertainment, right? Always great to have. So let me create an entertainment account. I'm just going to go to new. Not the new in the menu, but the new account. Account type, I'm going to call this expense. Whoops, try that again. I had a little bit of a glitch there. I'm going to call it expenses, and a category of expenses, I'm going to call it supplies and materials. It's going to be a sub-account under supplies and materials, right? Because we're talking about software. Actually, wait, just a second. No. Office expenses, right? So we can have that under there. That works better. Because then you have your office supplies, and then you have your software. That works a lot. That will be fine. And then I'm going to just call this software. Okay, so those are kind of some of the accounts that we have. And again, you can always adjust this over time. So if you find something doesn't fit right, adjust the budget. It's a very nimble budget. You can adjust it at any time. There's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, that's what I recommend, right? You think something's going to work? Well, try it again if it doesn't. So we've created a basic budget. We've got everything we want. Now it's time to go ahead and put some transactions in, because without transactions, we just don't have anything. So let me go ahead and open up my banking, and we're going to go ahead and link our Excel file. Banking services. I do not want to apply for a QuickBooks bank account. Not helpful. Okay, bank transaction. Yeah, they just kind of changed some things around. So, and again, there's also two different views of QuickBooks. There's the business and accounting. So sometimes things may look slightly different. I'm so used to the accountant view that it just took me a minute to figure it all out. But because I am a personal user, I don't want to use the accountant view because that just makes things a little bit more complicated. All right, so go ahead and link our Excel file that I created a minute ago. Simply upload transaction. And if you want to link your own bank, go ahead and do that, but no linking banks in this video. All right, I'm going to find my downloads folder. I think that's where I put this thing. QB budget sample, it's a CSV. Comma separated values. And that's how I recommend importing things, because that way it will just make it look good. Although, really, you should be importing things in QBO, because that way you can keep all of the rules and things that you've created. Rules are basically ways to automate categorization of transactions, and that will just kind of help you out a lot. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this bank pop-up. I just want to continue. I don't want to enter any bank. Now I just need to select which account these are going to go into, and I need to actually create a new account. So I'm going to create a new bank account. I'm just going to simply call this personal checking. Right, this is all of our personal. I'm going to set the type to bank, and the subtype, the details, to checking. Opening balance, I'm not going to give a crap about that right now, but that could be very important later on if you want to make sure that your balances are up to date and all that kind of fun thing. So nope, not going to deal with the opening balance. Save and close. All right, continue. Now what's the date format? mm/dd/yy. That one. And I have to be able to match the statement fields with the columns. So date is column 1, description is column 2, amount is column 3. I'm going to go ahead and continue now. And let's see what we've... So it looks like all of our transactions have imported, but wait, they haven't imported yet because you have to select them all and then hit the continue button. So if you're at this stage where I'm at right now, you're almost done. You just have to have one more thing, and that is to import the transactions by selecting all of them. So I'm going to find this checkbox, select, continue. QuickBooks will import 11 transactions. Go for it. All right, done. Now I've imported some transactions. Let's go ahead and get budgeting. All right. It just wanted me to review things, go, yeah, I know. All right, so, you know what? Just get rid of this right now. QuickBooks, I know how to use your product. Don't try to tell me I don't. All right, so the first thing I have is a Christmas gift income. Now, this is an income basically I got for a Christmas gift, which is awesome. It's Christmas time. It's actually New Year's Eve when I'm recording. So in this case, what I'd actually do is, because this is not a normal income, right, for any of my jobs, and actually now that I remember, we didn't actually add any of our income accounts. That's okay. We can actually do it on the fly when we categorize. So that's really helpful. So in this case, what this will actually be considered is other income, because it's not traditional income that we normally get. It's just another source of income from a gift. So let's go ahead and put that under other income, and we do that by hitting categorize. And yes, I can say who paid me, but I'm not going to worry about that. We don't need to add vendors. Again, this is just your personal budget, but it might be helpful to do if you're actually doing this legit. All right, so let's see, categorize, and I'm going to look for other income. So I'm just going to actually type in the first 3 letters of other. I'll probably get other expenses, but let's just see other income. I don't have that. So I'm going to go ahead and add an account like I was talking about. So while you're categorizing transactions, if you forget, you're like, oh no, I haven't added my account. It's actually not a big deal. So what you can do is you can add a new account on the fly while you're getting ready. So the way we do that is we actually do add new account. So if it doesn't exist, it'll prompt you, be like, hey, you want to add it? Click the button. This is where I'm at now. And you can go ahead and add your account, select the type. So in this case, there'll be income or revenue, and then you can add a name. So let's go ahead and do that together. Okay, income, and we're gonna select other, and we will other income. Okay, save and close. Easy as that. And then you can also split transactions. And I'm going to actually show you how to do that later because there's a transaction in here that I added on purpose so that way I can show you guys how to split transactions because that may be necessary. Confirm. Keep going. Okay, don't tell me that I need to keep going because I'm going to keep going. Payroll. So, we forgot to add our employer's payroll stuff in here, didn't we? We did. No big deal. We're going to do the same process we just did. So, in this case, it's not our traditional payroll. It's not our traditional wages. So, what I'm going to actually do also is I'm going to put this under other income because, well, we're still getting paid by our employer. It's not the traditional income that we always get from our employer from our weekly or bi-weekly paychecks or whenever you guys get paid. So I just like to separate it. That way I know how much other income I'm getting. So I'm going to go ahead and put this again, like I did last time, in other income. All right. I don't want retained earnings. I'm going to put this under other income. Confirm. Okay. Now here is our actual paycheck. So let's just say I just made up a number and I got paid $2,100. What a great paycheck, right? So this is actually my real day job, right? It's just my employer paying me my wage. Again, you're not gonna really have to keep track of how much, well, you're gonna have to keep track of how much they paid you, right, for your budget. But it's not gonna be obviously for taxes because you're already getting taxes pulled out if you're a W-2, unless you just wanted to file exempt on your W-4, which I don't recommend. But, that's a whole nother video. So we're gonna go ahead and put this under a new category because again, I wasn't thinking and I didn't add my category when I should have. And so we'll create a new category. And the way I like to do it is if you have multiple different jobs, right? Let's say that you've got a side hustle and a primary job, then create different income accounts based on what jobs you have. And that way you can keep track how much you're making. So in this case, let's just say that I'm doing bookkeeping, even though this is just my regular accessibility job. I'm just making a budget and it's just kind of a random test. So I don't really care what budget income category this is. I'm just kind of showing you guys. So let's just say I did a bunch of bookkeeping and I worked for a big firm. So I'm going to explore here, categorize, and I'm just going to call this bookkeeping. And I can also call this W-2 income or 1099 if I really want to keep track of, okay, this is the income that I made for my W-2, my employment. Or if you have multiple W-2s, you could just say, this job or that job. So it's kind of pretty important to keep track of that. Now, what I'm going to do is I am just going to call this bookkeeping W-2 income. So that's my bookkeeping or other income. Again, this is actually from my day job, just made up numbers though. But either way, this would be like your actual income that you make from an employer. And so I'm just going to kind of, let's just say I worked at bookkeeping test, and that was the company. So I just say test income. I'm going to add it as an income category. Okay. Income. Now this is where it gets a little bit interesting because it's not like we have any services that we're providing technically because we're getting paid by our employer. So this is kind of where we have to a little bit of an improvise. We have to kind of figure things out. So what I would typically do in this case is put this under service and fee income, even though we're not actually invoicing people, right? It's just kind of our services, I guess our employment. But again, you kind of see why this doesn't really make a lot of sense for personal. I mean, it can be done, but we kind of have to make some weird adjustments. So that's kind of what I'm going to do in this case. That's kind of what I'm going to do in this case because we are trying to deal with our employer income. Yep. All right. Save and close. And we went ahead and made these categories and confirm. All right. Let's next. Lyft. Lyft is not meals, it's travel. So this is like for Lyft for, getting around. So I use Lyft a lot because I can't drive, so I use Uber and Lyft very often. So I'm going to do travel. Confirm, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and do the rest of these. Pin stack, so that's actually a local bowling alley I really like here in Austin, and this would be considered entertainment. So we're gonna go ahead and make this work here. I'm gonna say this is going to be entertainment. Oh, we never added entertainment. All right, let's do this again. Expenses, okay? And then we're gonna put this under entertainment. There we go. So we put this under entertainment, we made an entertainment account. I'm going to capitalize this. Save and close. So bowling, entertainment, I'm just going to go ahead and confirm. All right, let's see what else we've got going. All right, Lyft again, travel, and it's very smart. It said, oh, it's travel? Great. Awesome. And now it wants us to create a rule where basically it will auto-categorize any transactions that are dealing with Lyft in the future. So any transactions that are dealing with Lyft, it will go ahead and categorize, and it will make those travel automatically. And that kind of helps with automated bookkeeping, so that's very important to me. And you could also add categories in here like food and groceries. Again, I didn't get that precise just because I only had so many transactions that I could get. But those are kind of other categories you might want to put in your personal budget. Okay. I'm just gonna create rule, and that will help to get rid of some of these other Lyft transactions that we need to deal with here. Okay, Jack in the Box, that's a food restaurant, so this again would be under food, and I believe I created a food account. Maybe I didn't, probably not. We can do that though. Actually, we have meals. What am I thinking? All right, because this is not like groceries, right? That would be a separate category, but this is just meals. Payroll. All right, here we go. Confirm. Again, payroll, bookkeeping, test income, create rule. This worked out pretty well. All right, let's see what else we have. Walgreens, of course, that's health. We're not assigning this to home office. Health expenses. Other. I'll call this medical. Okay. All right, now we have all of our transactions categorized. So again, this was just about 11 transactions. It was just a simple test. I was gonna have a splitting transaction, but I guess I didn't put that in here, but that's okay because this video is getting way too long. So I'm gonna go to my profit and loss. Again, this is typically a report that businesses use to see how profitable they are. In this case, you're gonna use it to see how much money you have left in your budget. So it's gonna be a good, make sure you're not going over budget. Definitely helps. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, 4,200. Got 900 whatever in other income. So it looks like we're sitting pretty good on our income side. Okay, entertainment, $41, 31. Okay, so we can see that right now we have 4,000 whatever dollars left in our budget. That means we're profiting $4,000, of course, in a personal sense, right? Now, of course, your goal in personal is to get your budget to match and balance, right? So if you're going under, meaning it's negative, then you are spending too much money. And then maybe you can be able to allocate your resources different, so then you can be able to stay and live within your means and not get into debt. And if, of course, you have a lot of money at the end of the month left, then maybe you want to consider saving it. So, of course, you want to save at any time. It's just very helpful, especially with the economic climate we're in. But it's just kind of some tips there. So that's kind of a very basic actually, tutorial on how to use QuickBooks for your personal budget. Would I recommend it? I mean, it can be doable if depending on how much work you want to put into it. But for the factors that I listed earlier, in terms of if you have a business with significant personal investment, absolutely. It can probably save you thousands in taxes. Well, I don't want to guarantee that, but it could save you probably a lot because that way you can make sure everything's tracked properly. If you're the average consumer, maybe not. Unless you really have an idea of why you want to do it, right? Unless you're absolutely like, I want to use QuickBooks and nothing else, then go for it. And if you have the other spare $25 a month, go for it. Not a problem, but it's more geared towards businesses, but I think this tutorial can really help you to understand what to do if you want to use QuickBooks for your budget. So with that out of the way, everyone, if you guys enjoyed this, why not smash that like button, destroy the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, subscribe for more. I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by March. I am just under 500. Michael set me a goal to get to 1,000 subscribers by March. Y'all, we need to do it. So subscribe if you're not. I'm going to be uploading videos very frequently, and I cannot wait for our next one. Also, if you are not listening to my new podcast called Book Site, where I talk about my journey as a blind bookkeeper, go ahead and listen to it. It's on the channel, and I'm going to be updating that weekly on Tuesdays, and videos are going to be coming out on a regular schedule as well. So with that out of the way, everyone, have a great New Year's, and we'll talk soon.